Bonjour, Josh.
Hello, Bertrand.
So, how are you?
Excellent. How about you?
Good. I wanted to ask you how come you left beautiful California, sunny skies, to settle in Paris and work, open, explain to us a wine shop here?
It's a good question. I met my wife in Ireland 9 years ago, and we reconnected after a bit of time, and she was living in Paris, and at that time I was in San Francisco, and we were trying to decide whether I should move to Paris or she should come to San Francisco. So while I was here one time, a mutual friend said, "Oh, my friend Daniel has a restaurant in Paris. You should meet him." So I walked in the door and said, "Hi Daniel, I'm a friend of Todd." He said, "Okay, nice to meet you. What do you do?" I said, "I work run the wine department at a small store in San Francisco." He said, "You should move to Paris and work with me at my new restaurant." It took 2 years later, but here I am.
So, what kind of wines did you deal with in California?
California, it was similar things that I'm trying to do here.
Okay.
It was artisanal wines, wines made by people who had passion, wines that were good value, which doesn't always mean the cheapest wines, but it means the wines that are fairly priced for both the consumer and for the winemaker. Wines that are leaning towards organic and biodynamic production, but I find oftentimes that I was surprised at the wines I liked. I found out later that they were produced organically and biodynamically. It wasn't always the first thing that I was looking for. I think a lot of people probably who read your site are similar, and that they're interested in the relationship with the winemaker, in the story behind it, and most of all in the quality of the wine, drinking things that they like. But it's always on a human scale. Not on an industrial scale.
So you came here, you made your own selection in this shop?
Exactly.
Is there a particular wine, a couple of wines you want to speak about it?
Sure,
about
I'd love to.
Here? Or I don't know.
I'll tell you probably the first 3 wines that I brought into the store. The first thing I did when I came is I called the winemakers that I knew from San Francisco. I had done lots of events in San Francisco with winemakers, and I did a wonderful dinner with Catherine Breton.
Oh yes.
Right before.
Catherine and Pierre.
Pierre wasn't there. So
okay.
It was just
Catherine.
Pierre has come as well. We've done several tastings with Catherine. So I called them up in the fall and said, "Catherine, here I am in France. I'd love to." So she said, "Okay, I'll come out to the the harvest party, and we'll have some good times and show you everything." So we brought in a bunch of the wines from Catherine and Pierre Breton, which are they are well known in Paris, but they're also exactly what I described that I'm looking for, is wine made by people who have passion and interesting things. So.
And you still have time to look around and add some other wines that you didn't know at the time, or how did you find this Mercury?
That's another good question. So the way I found the Mercury, the one you had the other night, was a little bit of snooping. Looking on importers' websites, the people that I liked, that I tasted with in San Francisco. It's this guy who has an import company called Jolie Vin, and I worked with him a little bit in San Francisco, and when I was looking around where to go in Burgundy, I was looking at pretty much everyone's websites. And that was how I found Philippe Carry, which is this wine here, Chassier. So drove down. I took 4 days to go hang out in Burgundy and taste wines with people, and just basically spend an afternoon with Philippe, talking to him and tasting the wines. And then he didn't have anything bottled at the time, but bottled over later.
So how many months are you living here now?
8 months.
8 months. So you've been through the first winter, rain, cold.
Yeah.
The winter was very cold. Yeah, it was very cold.
Exactly. But the question about how do we find wines is a really good one.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm in an interesting position, because lots of other cavistes either have been here, they have, I think a lot of them started through their friends or through the region they've come from or through contexts they have, whereas I'm almost starting from nothing. So it's this open thing of...
You just had in California some sort of...
I had the ones that I tasted there, which I think most of them are fairly well known to people in Paris, because I think a lot of times people want something that they haven't tried, or a chance for a new winemaker. And a lot of the importers come and see what's happening in Paris, or taste something at a lot of the same spots, and so they end up reaching out to those wines. And so by the time it gets there, somebody here's like, "Oh, I know that already. It's not exactly what I want." So I had that experience right away that felt a little bit oh, I need to catch up. But that's something that takes years, not months. You know?
Yeah, it takes
It
years.
takes years.
So you need to have times from time to time to go around tastings and.
The most important is going to tastings in Paris, working with winemakers and asking other winemakers who they like, tasting with winemakers, and most important is going to the regions. There's nothing that does a better job than actually going and visiting and tasting with people. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised, you make good discoveries, and sometimes you're disappointed in what you learn. Maybe you had that experience as well. I think I had a great experience in Chablis, tasting. I wanted to go taste in Irancy and at Guazot, in Côte d'Auxerre, and also in with a couple of people in Chablis, and we stayed in a town called Courgy, and the woman we were staying with recommended that we go see Thomas Picot.
Okay, so it was you stumbled upon by chance.
Just by chance.
Yeah,
just
because people in the middle of
my
nowhere.
neighbor makes wine. Call him, here's the cell phone number.
And then you tasted, you liked, and
that's it. And so that's a wine that I've then recommended to some friends who import wine after that. So that was a good.
Oh, nice. So most of the wines here are you French, but you have a few Spanish wines.
A couple of Spanish wines and a couple of Italian wines as well. Lopez Heredia, which is one of my favorite wineries in the States, and then working with Vibra, which is a great producer in Piemonte. And we'll be bringing in a little bit more foreign wines as well.
Okay.
That's something for the restaurant that we're going to work a little bit more with. We have some interesting things, some things from Luxembourg coming in, Germany, Spain.
Okay.
Still, I think it'll be 10 or 15% of the wines that will be the main part.
Okay. So Josh, thank you very much. And I know a last question. What are your customers? What profile are they? Foreigners, French?
We're still learning.
Still learning.
We've only open for 8 months. So our customers are a mix of everything. It's people who work in the neighborhood. It's people who are tourists. It's foreign people who live in France. Lots of Anglophone expatriates. And friends.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much, Josh.
you're welcome. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.